Alright geezers, Jules here from FGS, and you know what? Companions can make or break a video game. For every ultra useful, resourceful and downright entertaining sidekick, there's one who endlessly nags, constantly commands your attention, and is just a grating presence to be around. Why are you putting a picture of my face on screen? Do not do me like this, editor, please! That being said, we're here to focus on the biggest of ledges this time around, as we're talking about companions who were the best of the bloody best. And you know the drill, this is a co-op list, so I've picked a companion from last week's list to help me on my verbal travels. And this week we're giving thanks to Ravenstrive9640, whose suggestion will appear later on in this video. And if you want to be part of next week's video, then have a think on what you feel are the best video game performances. It could be voice acting, it could be motion capture, whatever you think was a stunning performance, let me know down below. Now then, buddy boy, let's focus up and go hand in hand, as I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are the 10 best video game companions. Number 10. Otacon, Metal Gear Solid. We should all have somebody in our lives that's got our back like Metal Gear Solid's Hal Emmerich, better known as Otacon. Everyone's favourite pant-pissing tech support isn't merely Solid Snake's nerdy anime-loving sidekick, he's also Snake's tireless, unabashed cheerleader when the chips are down, as they regularly are throughout the series. Otacon provides a moral lift and some much-needed comic relief to players in a pinch via codec, and what he lacks in physical prowess he more than compensates for with his piercing intelligence. If you need help working through a tricky boss battle or require a nifty gadget to get the job done, Otacon's usually got you covered. Seeing his friendship with Snake evolve into one of gaming's all-time great bromances has been tremendously rewarding. Not bad for a guy who could have so easily been a one-note laughingstock, which is an honour reserved instead for his loose-bowed pal Johnny Sasaki. Number 9. Elizabeth, Bioshock Infinite. Now, Bioshock Infinite's Elizabeth is basically the blueprint for a useful and effective video game companion, because while many initially feared her presence would turn the sequel into a tedious escort mission, that thankfully wasn't the case. Rather than having to constantly protect the petite, studious-looking young woman, she proves to be tremendously useful throughout the game, tossing ammo and health kits your way whenever you need them. Beyond that, her ability to create tears in the fabric of space-time to assist both combat and navigation ensures that she is vital beyond words. And this is all without even getting into Elizabeth as a human being. She's a charmingly innocent counterpoint to protagonist Booker, and constantly in awe of her newfound sense of freedom. Elizabeth is an infectiously likable companion, and a big part of the reason that Infinite works as well as it does. Number 8. The Companion Cube, Portal. Portal proved that the sturdiest and most memorable of companions do not need to be human beings. Hell, they don't even need to be living things or even animate objects. Portal's trusty companion cube appears in the first game as a variation of the regular storage cube, and is made distinct by the heart symbol printed on its sides. First and foremost, the cube is vital for navigating one of Portal's test chambers, but more than that, the game does a masterful job of bonding the player to this piece of equipment in record time. GLaDOS makes various inferences that the cube is somehow sentient, and her final request that you toss it into an incinerator in order to exit the test chamber ensured that we all identified with it more than 99.9% of living, breathing video game sidekicks. Despite the cube's apparent lack of personality, Portal ingeniously made it seem alive in every way that matters, ensuring that we all felt tremendous anguish when we let it burn. Number 7. Hewie, Haunting Grounds. Okay, I tell you this, Ravenstrive, you knew exactly what you were doing with this suggestion, you cheeky little whippet, because you just knew that it would be impossible for me to turn down the chance to talk about a gaming deep cut. Well, congratulations, because now we all get to hear about the greatness that is the oft-forgotten PS2 horror classic Haunting Grounds, but we also get to tell Hewie what a good boy he is, yes you are. In truth, while Hewie is incredibly useful at defending you and solving puzzles, his overall effectiveness actually comes down to you, as if you scold the poor wee lad and don't play with him, he'll actively ignore your commands and even totally do one once the game ends. Not that you'd want to be mean to Hewie, as he's adorable, useful, and in a pinch, a dab hand at combat. All the things you need to survive Capcom's often ignored horror classic. And side note, Hewie actually gets a cameo in the original version of Resident Evil 4 as the dog that you rescue from the bear trap, which is a rather nice touch, right? Number 6. HK47. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Companions don't get much more hilariously unhinged than HK-47 from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. This ruthlessly efficient assassin droid may look a bit like C-3PO's weird cousin, but he's never not eager to, in his own words, engage in some unadulterated violence. As mere meatbags, then, it's a good thing that HK-47 is on our side, but beyond his combat effectiveness, one could spend days simply listening to the droid's array of gut-busting, mostly deadpan one-liners delivered with just a hint of mischievous playfulness. Sometimes you need a heroic, brave sidekick of high moral integrity, and sometimes you need a wisecracking murder bot. He may lack the universal appeal of Star Wars' most prominent droids, but his hilariously grim candor and usefulness in combat makes him the very best companion in the entire history of Star Wars games.
Jedi, like sand kivers, seem to sense trouble a few seconds before it happens. They are tricky little pests.
Number 5. Alyx Vance. Half-Life 2. Back to human companions now then, with Half-Life 2's Alyx Vance. Far from the mere Gordon Freeman fangirl that she could have so easily been, Alyx manages to be both incredibly skilled during combat and hella likable to boot, even if her verbal exchanges with Gordon are unavoidably one-sided. As the daughter of Dr. Eli Vance, Alyx has a vital place in the story and also serves a majorly important function in fleshing out the game's world in a manner that feels organic. Simply put, she ticks every damn box. She's smart, she's useful, she's funny, she's well designed, she's brilliantly voice acted, and doesn't ever get in the way. What more could you want? Across Half-Life 2 and its 2 episodic follow-ups, Alyx proved herself so popular that she graduated to full protagonist status in her own right in the standalone VR masterpiece Half-Life Alyx. Number 4. Dogmeat Fallout. With the Fallout TV series currently taking the world by storm, even more people are getting to know gaming's goodest boy, Dogmeat. This trusty canine has appeared in most Fallout games in some form, though his popularity exploded when he was reimagined as a gorgeous, mercifully unkillable German Shepherd in Fallout 4. While he might not be as loquacious as the game's other companions, he more than makes up for it with his ability to both incapacitate enemies and sniff out items that are strewn across the wasteland. And let's be honest, sometimes you don't want a motor-mouthed sidekick talking to you the entire time. There's a reason that they call dogs man's best friend. Dogmeat isn't merely an adorable companion though, he brings warmth and hope to one of the most unforgiving open worlds in gaming history, and for that, we're forever in his debt. Number 3. Tails. Sonic the Hedgehog. Dogmeat isn't the only animal worthy of inclusion here, because where would we be without one of gaming's premier creature companions? Sonic the Hedgehog's two-tailed fox miles tails per hour is more than just a clever name. He's Sonic's loyal best mate who made his debut in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and has remained a comforting piece of the franchise furniture ever since. Nobody would call Tails a complex or especially rich character, but his contagiously peppy personality and flying ability made him a perfect complement to the blue blur. What helped instantly cement Tails as an iconic companion for many, however, is the fact that a second player could take control of him in Sonic 2, rather than simply letting an anonymous AI do the job. Ultimately, Sonic without Tails just doesn't feel right, which is probably the best compliment you could give any video game sidekick. Number 2. Ellie. The Last of Us. While Ellie is technically playable for a relatively brief portion of The Last of Us, there's no denying that she's firmly the companion to protagonist Joel throughout the bulk of the main experience. And of all of Naughty Dog's many great sidekicks, Ellie lands right at the top of the pile. It's less that this teenage girl is particularly adept in combat scenarios, but that her spunky personality is such a robust counterpoint to Joel's more cynical, world-weary perspective. The Last of Us wouldn't be the pop culture phenom it is without the fast-growing chemistry between its two central characters. Players are tasked with protecting Ellie from the jump, but it's her increasingly warm interactions with Joel which ultimately make them care for her. Nothing feels forced or contrived in how Ellie is presented to the player. She's as plausible a companion as gaming has ever seen, and one whose very teenage brand of stubbornness offered up bewildering relief in some of the most horrifying situations imaginable. And number 1, Garrus Vakarian. Mass Effect. Among Mass Effect's gallery of venerable companions, there are many fan favourites, but ultimately there is only one to rule them all, and that is Garrus frickin' Vakarian. Unlike almost every other companion in the series, Garrus has been Shepard's bro since the very beginning, a loyal bud and potentially something more who also happened to be a dab hand with a sniper rifle. If initially depicted as a more frosty character, he came into his own in Mass Effect 2, where a greater emphasis was placed on his bond with Shep and developing him into a truly admirable colleague. think he's also a being of great moral character, confiding his own troubled past in the player and seeking their counsel in moving forward. I mean, how can you not respect that vulnerability? No other relationship in the original trilogy feels like it parallels the journey of the 3 games themselves, a beautiful dynamic that endures even in the face of grand galactic peril. And there we go, my friends. Those were the 10 best video game companions. Hope you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. And also don't forget to put your suggestion for what you think is one of gaming's great performances, and you could be picked for next week's list. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Instagram where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you soon. Hope you're taking care of yourself, and best of all, I hope you've got hope in your hearts, my friend, because that is what you need to give yourself that positive boost to start the day with and get those things done. Big love to you. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.